Hi, I'm Ainsley from A Mama with Trauma. Thanks for coming over to my page. Um, this page is solely for me just to kind of get some things out. I am not seeking any vengeance or harm towards any of the people that have, um, you know, caused me trauma or anything like that. I'm just sending this kind of stuff out to basically go back and rewatch it and just learn from my own perspective and hear myself and um, just get a better, clear idea of myself. But also, I would just kind of want to share this process and journey with whoever wants to come over here. So, thank you for coming over to my page. Today, I'm kind of stuck between two things that I want to communicate about. Want to be really honest with whoever comes over here and with myself. So, I think the thing I'm going to talk about is child protective services and motherhood not mixing. So yes, to be transparent as possible. A couple weeks ago, I was involved in a domestic fight with my husband, and our daughter kind of got caught in the middle of it. And I communicated that situation and that experience with my therapist. And as a duty, my therapist had to report that information to CPS. And all of that within itself was uh, it was a very eye-opening process. First, the genesis of the argument and how it started and how it got escalated so quickly, and my responsibility in the whole matter. I am not sending this out to shame or even really talk about my husband's um, responsibility in that matter, because he's his own person and that's not what this page is about. I'm simply talking about my responsibility and accountability of the situation, what I learned about myself, and the hard truths that up until that point I was having a very difficult time looking at. I guess for me, as the person that I am, there were parts of me that I was afraid to really look at and really acknowledge. Um, Maybe not out of I'm afraid of looking at them, but I don't have space to access parts of myself to really heal and get better. But this argument and the magnitude of it it jolted me. And also having CPS come over and sit there and question me, and then question my husband, and then question our daughter all separately, and then being told, like, giving a litany of their plan and how to make us not have these arguments, or their plans on having us not be have arguments. And I understand CPS is totally just doing a job. Like, these people are simply just doing a job. They're not therapists, they're not like doctors, they're just literally doing a job to make sure that the child is, generally okay, and cared for. And in that, we were asked to take our daughter to get a physical abuse exam, and I'm saying all these things so quickly, but the process of this whole situation was so for me, it was just so insane. Like, how did I get here? How did we get to this situation where our child is just in a bad spot? Like, I am trying to be a mom and take responsibility completely for all my issues and all my trauma so I don't pass this on to my child. Yet here we are doing this exact thing. Like, this is what trauma is. Like, this is where it starts. This is what it looks like. And recognizing that, and when I took her to get her exam, when I shared the situation with my therapist and just kind of a couple close friends, the initial reaction was from them, and I know that they said this in a very kind, it came from a kind and loving place, was that you're doing the best you can. You didn't do anything wrong. You're taking care of your child. But for me and my personality, that didn't sit well, because that was taking like almost like an easy out. I felt like that was an easy out to blame or put that on my husband. Like, we're here in this situation because of you. And I don't like that. If there is a way for me to be held, like, I can hold myself accountable to some varying degree of this, I want to, because there's something for me to learn. There's something for me to learn about myself that I'm not going to learn any other way. And looking for the lesson in the most painful and what I found to be the most obvious sense of failure as a mother that there could be. And I couldn't care for my child well enough to like not have her involved in a domestic situation. And I felt so awful. And my daughter even said, she's like, why am I the one getting the exam when you and daddy should be the ones getting the exam? You are right. You are blameless, daughter. You are blameless for this. None of this is your fault. None of this is for you to even bear or go through or even experience. And this is my failure as your mom, not catching this fast enough. Not recognizing the things that I should have recognized quickly or fast enough to not have this happen. And saying that to her and meaning that, and saying that to myself, and recognizing like I missed something so fundamental that maybe somebody else would have been like, hey, like, red flag. And in that, realizing like I have still so much work to do. I have so much work to do with my trauma, almost like the dark side of the moon in my trauma that is showed up. It just showed up here in this moment, and I take accountability for that, and I apologize. And as I say this, I guess I like look to all the other daughters and sons. I can't speak to sons. I'm not that whatever, but to all the other children whose parents or moms who didn't stop and see, who didn't stop and recognize her responsibility in this situation and her making a choice for herself and seeing the value of herself first, and then making hard decisions to care for her child or children. And that's where I found myself. I found myself in this place of like, I cannot move forward I can't even take one step forward the same way that I have been stepping forward. And I see that. I see that now, and I'm so sorry. And I'm so, so sorry. And as my child lays there on the exam table being looked over from head to toe, she's blameless. She's so blameless, and to be put in this completely vulnerable position that I should be the one there. I should be the one who is being scrutinized and looked at, and not my innocent kid. And using that as a catalyst, using that whole event as a catalyst to recognize, like, my relationship with my husband is over. It's over. And I can't change anything. And on his side, I can't. There's nothing I can do or say, and I have put so much out. And now I recognize it is time to close that door and start filling myself up in a way that I can show my child that I recognize my value. I'm recognizing my value, and in that I can care for her better. I can in that building up in that security of sense of self and endurance and solving problems and knowing that I'm gonna be okay, and that I'm gonna do what I know I can do and heal and change, that things will be okay. And CPS came out again. You know, they ended up having many conversations, and they made a plan and everything. And just CPS and motherhood just don't mix in my world. They don't. I understand what you're doing, and I appreciate that, but at the end of the day, I'm a child's mother, and that role and that responsibility is mine. It is so much mine. And thank you for coming in and shining a blaring light on something that I just needed help seeing. And I see it now. I see it loud and clear, and we were able to resolve things in the case. I think it's in the process of being closed or something like that, but it took me this long to finally be able to see this. And I guess I just kind of want to validate all the kids out there who are my age, whose parents never, or moms never really figured it out and just stayed in the space for whatever reason. And I'm not shaming the mothers who decided to stay, but I did want to validate the emotions and the emotions and feelings and the confusions of the kids whose moms stayed in their relationship for a long time. Because my mom stayed. My mom stayed in a relationship way too long, until she was ready to dispose of the members in the family. And though my situation is entirely different, it is not the same. I recognize that it's not. No relationship with another person should be worth staying in if it's going to destroy the one or both of the parties. And I recognize that for myself, that is been a long time learning that lesson and seeing my own value. And I hope that through this and my actions, I'm not a big talker. I know these videos, obviously I'm talking in every single one of them, but I just don't I don't know how to be a mom and tell my child one thing and me do another. They have to line up. And if they're not lining up, then that means I'm not going to move forward until they are lining up. Because I genuinely, mentally, and in my heart can't have two stories going on at one time. My brain and my body can't house that. It's too confusing. It's so confusing. So being a parent that has to be actually saying what what I say is literally what I am doing. It's what I am doing. And staying in that present all the time. And there, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's the only way I know how to hold myself accountable and be the parent that I want to be for the child that I really want to have around in my life when she's my age now. But yeah, that's a little bit of what I wanted to share today. Thank you for coming over to my page, and I keep going back and I'm trying to learn from my past videos. I've noticed I'm a little slow on some of the things, and then I speed up in some areas where I'm very passionate. So bear with me as this slowly comes together and I create and share this time with you. But I am Ainsley from A Mama with Trauma, and thank you for showing up and being here with me. Bye.